There are so many different levels of getting to know yourself. I believe that a human being can actually really be happy only when that human being gets in touch with his spiritual part. Brain is a device that takes information from the energy field into our system for us to consciously understand, but actual memory is in our energy field. Rules are needed because everything you do from love is the best way that you can do. Yeah, a lot of the official history doesn't match the reality, especially what comes to ancient history. The most important part is how we feel about things, not what people think about it. But most of the time, people lose their connection to themselves through thinking too much about what others think. The fact that whatever happens, we have all the support that we need if we just follow that inner guidance. Inner guidance, if we are truthful to who we are, there's always enough support for every difficult moment we go through. And I mean, I've been through a number of them. Spiritual path is about honesty and is about courage.
Hello, this is Secrets of Life. My name is Maria Sinyayeva, and today our guest is Ekaterina Samoilova. She is a psychologist, energy therapist, and channeler. She will share her life story, her spiritual path. She will talk about channeling and explore some secret aspects of alternative history. You're welcome. Hi, Katya.
Hi, Maria.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
You're welcome to our channel.
Happy to be here.
And my first question is traditional one. Just could you say in several words, who are you and how did it happen that you quit a good career in a big company and changed your let's say spiritual way, the way of your soul, to healing, to helping people, and all this transformational process?
Well, answering your first question, who are you? I believe every human being can answer it in so many different ways because there are so many levels and dimensions of our being. Even at social roles, we can talk about ourselves in different ways. Yes, like every one of us has a number of social roles. And so from one standpoint, I can say that from a professional standpoint, or from a like general human standpoint or from spiritual standpoint. So it all depends from which level we want to look at it.
But I think in your case, it's all together actually, professional, personal, and spiritual.
Yes, I guess so. So at this point, professionally, I work as a channeler, as a healer, as a teacher. I help people expand their consciousness to understand and feel and know from their real experience that they are actually a soul, not only a human being. And to open up the spiritual gifts that actually everybody has, just not everybody uses. Mm-hmm. And so that's the professional part, even though it's kind of already expanded. But from the deeper level, I'm a soul, as everyone else is. I'm a spiritual being. I'm consciousness, etc. Everybody actually has every level. We can also say like, okay, I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, like all different levels, yes? And every person, every human being can relate to the social roles because we live in them. That's very easy. To professional side of life, because that's also very easy. But the expanded part of feeling of being a soul, not just an idea of I'm a soul, but actually experiencing that you are, and then experiencing being consciousness without any limits. So there are so many different levels of getting to know yourself and saying, I am this, but also this and this and this and this. So yes, I am a woman, I am a human being, and at the same time, a lot more than that. Same as everybody else. And the only difference is how much a person can actually know from experience about who they really are. Most people relate mostly to their personal, like ego-based personality, and that creates certain limits in life. When a person starts feeling as somebody greater, somebody more expanded, somebody who is eternal, life can change dramatically. It can be from outside world pretty much the same life, but from inside perspective, completely different quality of life, because the level of inner freedom, the level of living the life that you want from inside out changes. You're no longer a small person put in a little box of society's perspectives. You can watch all of that, observe it, know it, and be free from it. So that's a path that I myself went through, and that's a path that I help people go through. And that's pretty much my mission at this point, because I believe that a human being can actually really be happy only when that human being gets in touch with his spiritual part, with that inner deep happiness that doesn't depend on anything in the outside world.
But is it always so necessary, let's say, to practice spirituality? Or you believe in some natural connection that can also be possible, let's say, for normal people who live normal human life?
Absolutely. Well, we are all naturally connected, and some people without any special spiritual practices can feel it, and it's a natural thing for them. This is just who they are. They feel it and they know it. They maybe not even like calling it certain names or putting it in certain ideas, but they can feel that they are more than just this human being in a way. So we are all naturally connected to that deeper part. Problem is that many people forget about it, or they're told it doesn't exist, and they believe it, so they buy into this more limited understanding who they are, and then it creates more fear, it creates more limitation, it creates dependency on outer events or opinions or pressure that everybody experiences in life, and so that makes life more difficult. So, but there are people who naturally have this connection, who feel it, who shine from the inside without the need for any spirituality as a practice. They just are this way. But for most people, it requires some extra effort to really get in touch with that expanded part, with that expanded side of your own being. And it's actually a beautiful experience, something that when my students go through this, it marks like the most amazing moments in their life, the ones that they remember, because it is a very unique feeling when going from a limited standpoint, you expand into unlimited. And it brings some amazing feelings, experiences, something that is really memorable for a person.
Is it true that you had your first spiritual experience when you were 2 years old?
Something around that time. Yes. Actually, later when I started working with people, I realized that it's not something unique to me. Many people, well, maybe not many, but a number of people do remember themselves at a very young age, well, at certain points, I'm not saying all of it, or even inside the womb. I even met people who remember themselves inside the womb. For example, I know a number of cases like this, but one that's pretty interesting is that when it was a couple, my friends, who went when they were pregnant, when the woman was pregnant, they went to Nepal for a trip. They felt guided to go there, and when their daughter was born, she told them about it, like she could remember. And the reason for that is that our memory is not actually in the brain like people think. Brain is a device that takes information from the energy field into our system for us to consciously understand, but actual memory is in our energy field. And one more way to prove it or to show it is that when people have spiritual experiences during clinical death. Oftentimes people share very similar memories of what happened during their clinical death minutes. Usually it's a few minutes. And the brain at this moment is shut. It's not operating. Yes, heart stops, the brain is not operating, but a person remembers something. And that's very interesting. And so there are some studies about it that the energy field actually contains information that helps us grow. It's even known in epigenetics, where for some reason, with the same set of parents, like with mice, the babies that are born in the spring have shorter fur than when they're born in the fall, as if they knew somehow that the winter is coming, you know? And the only reason to explain that is that this information is somehow transmitted to them. And so there is this whole thing going on about the information in the energy fields. And of course, there are many ways of exploring it. But anyway, our memories also contained much more in the energy field than in our brain. And oftentimes, a person can remember something that their brain could never know, such as a previous life, because it didn't happen in this life. You know, there couldn't have been records in this body, but for some reason it's there. And so there are many ways, again, like I said, to explore it, but we can actually remember things that happened when we were in the womb, because biggest part of our energy is around the womb. It's not inside the little body. And so a soul that's during pregnancy is already around this little body that's being developed in mother's field, already receiving all the knowledge about what's happening. And that's why there is in psychology, prenatal psychology, you know, that whatever happens around the baby influences the baby. So it's all connected together. So that was a bigger, broader spectrum on this topic. But basically, yes, my first expanding moment happened when I was around maybe 2.5 or so. It was a very bright experience that I later forgot and remembered only in my 20s, which is a natural thing. We sometimes forget, yes, what happens in the childhood, but then we can remember. So the story goes, my mom was making up the bed in the evening and putting me to sleep, and she was talking with me as a baby, and she was sharing some of her thoughts during the day. And then she mentioned something like, if your dad and I didn't meet, you wouldn't be here. And I remember I went into a kind of a shock at that moment. I didn't say, I didn't cry, I didn't do anything, but inside of me there was this like stop moment, a shock moment, like how I wouldn't be here, how is it that I wouldn't exist? And then there was this expansion of feeling and knowing that I'm not this little body. Like I could see myself from the side, and I was energy field. I knew that I am very vast, ancient being that actually could choose another family if this one didn't happen. And I could see other options of where it could go. And inside of me, there was this strong response that, no, mom, you just wouldn't be my mom. But I would be here because I chose to be. And so in that moment, I realized that I already lived many lives. I am a soul, not a body. And it was very bright experience. And then, of course, I went back to being a normal kid for years. But there were still flashes all through my childhood sometimes of remembering some experiences. Like when I was around 13, there was a book on tarot that came into my hands and with a deck of cards. And I was like, wow, I remember this. I could really remember my past life when I worked with these cards. And there were other instances, and little by little I started gathering pieces of my past experiences, of me as a soul, and all of that happened before all the books. So that's how I know that I'm not making it up in my mind after reading the books. Oh, that's about me. No, it just happened to me. And later I found books that described similar things or explained what happened to me, you know. That was just an additional piece of information to confirm that I'm not crazy, that this does exist. There are people who know this about themselves, who investigate such experiences, and who help other people to understand more about what's going on. And the beautiful thing about having that kind of perspective is that you can actually find answers to pretty much all questions that you cannot answer otherwise. Like many situations in life, many difficulties that happen, oftentimes seems like people are just victims, that they cannot do anything, that something bad happened, and that we have no explanation of why it happened specifically to this person and not to that person, and why they, you know, somebody's lucky and others are not, and many other questions that people have. And all of the answers, they are there. They are in our deeper levels. There are always reasons for every event, and they are not just an idea of, well, there are of course reasons for everything. No, they're actually knowable. You can actually go inside of your being. You can go into regression experience, past life regression, or go back to your childhood experiences, or look at the soul level lessons, and then have absolute clarity about why this experience is happening, what it brings to you, what is it for, what it is teaching you. And that's the whole value of it, to learn from every experience, even from difficult ones. So when a person has that way of understanding, there is so much more confidence that comes with it, because you no longer feel victimized. You feel that at some point this was created by you at some level for some reasons. And since you were the one who chose this, you are the one who can make it work, who can change it, who can do anything with it. And as soon as you realize the lesson, as soon as you realize what it is for, it's so much easier to change. It's so much easier to accept. It's so much easier to live with the situation, you know, or deal with it, and not suffer from resistance, not question for years and go into depression, you know. So it gives a lot more freedom to have that perspective. And I think that's actually the key value of going deeper into this kind of spirituality, because of course there are so many ways of being spiritual, but the kind of spirituality that naturally started happening to me, and the one that I followed after, even though I tried other ways of going to spirituality. I was Christian for years. I went into Buddhism and practiced Buddhist meditation. I tried different ways, but I went back into that natural kind of spirituality that comes from my inside experiences, and then I realized that there are many people who have similar experience and understandings, and to me that's kind of the more truthful path for me, because of how it all happens naturally from the inside, and because of having the proof that it's not just me, it's, you know, many people. And so the biggest value of exploring yourself at deeper levels is actually having that other quality, that better quality of life, not in the way of having more, but in the way of having more peace, and in the way of having more freedom, in the way of having more balance, more clarity, better understanding of what's going on in your life, and more flexibility to change it, and more power to change it as well. So all of that makes you really truly feel and understand this idea of us being on a big playground, that we are here playing roles, that we are here going through some scenarios, but we are not just these limited personalities. We are so much more. And yes, we can play these roles, we can enjoy these experiences, but when we are balanced inside at a different level, when we can rely on that other levels of ourselves, it's so much easier to do. There's so much more freedom in self-expression of being who you are and of creating your life from that standpoint, not depending on other people saying you this is wrong, this is right, this is what you need to do, but you have your inner wisdom to tell you your true path, to tell you that this is what comes from love. And you know, it correlates actually with most spiritual traditions, this path, because when you come from your soul, there's always so much love and compassion there that all the spiritual ideas of different religions, they speak to you naturally, you know. Jesus said that if there is love, no other rules are needed, because everything you do from love is the best way that you can do, yeah. And when you start living from that part of yourself, and not from ego that's always trying to protect itself, to fight, to run from fear, or you know, to be separate from everything or everybody else, and try to gain more. From love, you already have it all. You have all the things that you need, all the freedom that you need, all the energy that you need. And from that perspective, it's so much easier to share, to shine, to live through difficulties. And I know for people who don't have that experience, it sounds like, oh yeah, like I don't believe you. But for people who do know what I'm talking about from their experience, it always resonates. It's always inner wisdom says, yes, I know it's true. So it's all about the level of connection with yourself. Like when you're really connected, then you naturally kind of just feel and know the truth in many places, in many things. And when you're not, then you need a set of rules, limitations. And with the rules, there are always guilt that comes, because sometimes you cannot do what you're supposed to, or choose not to for some reasons. And then guilt makes you go into this blame cycle, blame and guilt, and then try to be better and then fail again. And this is what oftentimes happens in many religious movements. And it actually makes people go deeper in the feeling unworthy of love, unworthy of good. Whereas when people go the other direction of connecting to their true self and expanding in that inner light and love feeling, there is freedom and feeling that there is no guilt, there is no shame for anyone. Like, yes, there are consequences for everything. There are consequences for everything. It's not like all is light and, you know, there is nothing bad happening in the world. Obviously, there are things that we need to work on. But there is no this guilt and shame game. There is just honest look at what's going on, with the questions of what can be done to change it, to make it better, without the guilt trip. So, yeah, so this path is what changed my life dramatically. And this is what I enjoy sharing, because I see how much it improves people's lives. And that's the biggest gift for me, to see happy eyes shining with joy and changing their lives to the better.
Thanks. But still you were, let's say, involved in this game of playing in social career. And during this process, when you were working in the company, like trying to live ordinary life, did you still feel something inside that's not my way? Did you suffer, or it was fine for you in the beginning?
Yeah, well, I did live a normal life for many years, and I mean, my life is still normal, just expanded. But I mean, the life of just being in the world, nothing more than that. But I wasn't practicing anything or wasn't feeling expanded. Yes, there was. I was always like an A student. I was always the good girl doing the good things, and I studied hard all of my childhood, and I did all that a person is supposed to do to be happy, like a checklist, you know. And what happened with that is, by the age 22, I had everything that you're supposed to have to be happy. Like I was young and healthy and happily married to a man I really loved, and I had a great career. I had good salary. I mean, at that age, I was making pretty nice money, and I was traveling with my husband. We bought some property. We had plans for the future. So it all looked wonderful. It all looked like it should be, and at the same time, I felt unhappy. Like I was questioning myself, what's wrong with me? Why am I not happy to wake up in the morning and to go to a great job that I'm lucky to have? And why am I feeling drained energetically? Why am I not enjoying my life, even though I have it all? I have it all that you're supposed to have to be happy. And I started questioning myself, like, am I here to make money and spend it? Is that all? Am I here to fulfill some social obligations? And it didn't feel right. And I started questioning, like, there's something that wasn't told to me. There was something deeper that I needed to find. And I started looking and seeking and questioning. And I started meeting people who helped me to wake up, pretty much, to wake up to the truth, to the reality. And I met a person who we just talked for 3 hours, but it wasn't like, I mean, it was a normal talk on one way, but on the other way, it was opening me up so much that I was feeling really strong energy. My body was shaking. I felt like I was going through something unique that I never experienced before. And I started remembering things that I wasn't remembering, like the man I was talking to, he just asked me questions and told me some things, and they were all kind of like moments of realization and realization over and over again. Like he would ask me if I saw bright, colorful dreams, and I remembered that I did see them when I was a child, but I didn't see them for 2 years by that time, and I haven't seen them. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, yes, I forgot. So it was kind of like reconnecting to myself. And then it just started going like a wave of new things happening through that. Like my dreams, I started seeing dreams again. I started seeing bright, colorful dreams. Not only that, I started seeing my past lives in dreams. And it was shocking. I never knew about past lives at that time. I never read anything about it, but I could see stories and I could feel that this is me being in those stories from the inside, but there were different people in different bodies. It was very unique to experience myself, for example, in a big male body, like strong male body. And I'm like, whoa, that feels different, but that's still me. And I've been shown several different stories. And for example, I saw how I was connected with my mom, who was my friend before, in one of the stories, and some other things that I just realized that this is part of my life because this was the previous story. And so then later it came to my understanding that those were my past lives. And then I again read about it, found some information about it. And so I started seeing predictions of the future in my dreams that did happen. Then I started exploring other possibilities. I started doing more yoga, meditation. I was all full in going into self-exploration, and it brought me so much change. It brought me so much expansion. And I started reading books, and not only reading, but really trying to experience what they were talking about. One of the beginner level books that I was reading was Paulo Coelho's book, The Path of a Magician. And there, one of the things that he shared was a practice of dying. If you read it, maybe you remember. Yeah. So I didn't just read the book, I actually did the practice. And what happened as a result, I was crying all night because I realized I wasn't living my life. The life that I really was meant to live, I wasn't living my life at all. I was still in the corporate world, still going with a successful career, still happily married. So on the outside, everything was perfect, but my soul was so unhappy because this wasn't my life. And so, little by little, realization by realization, I started connecting all parts of myself, waking up, waking up, waking up. And then my life started changing drastically. And so, from that point until now, that was, I feel like, several lives lived in terms of how much was experienced and how many different experiences I went through. But it's the most amazing life that I wouldn't change for anything else.
But I still wonder, how did your husband felt? How did he feel when he was near you? Because so extremely changing everything, but probably not really easy to accept.
Oh, totally and definitely. It was a difficult time because I was not yet very confident in what was going on. I was still exploring. I was a student. I was amazed, but oftentimes questioning, is this true or not? Like, am I going crazy or what's going on, you know? So of course I shared with him as the closest person to me, you know, everything. And of course I wanted support or something, but he couldn't relate. He couldn't relate to what was going on with me, and he was very intellectual, very logical, like scientific, you know. And so whenever I shared with him some of the ideas that I got and the spiritual things I read about or explored or experienced, he was very skeptical. He was very kind of like waiting until I go back to normal. And so we would go into fights about something that I felt like I was, you know, not understood, not I was resisted, and my ideas were tried to be made wrong. And it was a difficult time because I didn't feel accepted as who I was. I felt that he just wanted everything to stay the same, which, I mean, of course, I understand. I understand his desire in that way, but didn't feel right to me. I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do it. It changed me completely. And so over time, we started drifting apart and more and more and more. And until some point where I felt I cannot stay in this relationship anymore. I needed to go on my path fully without being restrained and limited by needing to follow somebody's ideas of how it should be. And so yes, we ended our marriage, and it took him a long time to really accept that decision. And but after 10 years, actually after 10 years, he sent me a message saying thank you for that decision. And though for a long time he couldn't understand why, I tried to explain, but my explanations were not understandable. So, but after 10 years, he thanked me and he said that he actually received something very valuable at that time, even though it was difficult for him. He learned how to be free in that moment as well, because I let myself be free to go with my path, and at the same time I gave him freedom to follow his path. And he said that for many years he was going back to that point, trying to figure out what it was, and then he was grateful. And his life went on successfully, like he's happily married again, and he travels and lives in different countries, and we keep in touch as friends. And so at this point, it's all good. It's all for the better, you know. But at that point, it was difficult both for me and for him, because, you know, when you love a person, when you plan to spend life together, when you want to have family, kids, and everything, and then all of a sudden it changes, and you see that you don't see a way to really continue that. It's painful. It's pretty painful, because it was for me the decision of choosing myself, choosing my freedom, choosing my calling, choosing my mission, or choosing comfortable human life that's all normal, all good, but doesn't give me the satisfaction that I want, you know? And so I know I made the right choice for me and for him as well, because, you know, we were connected at some levels, but not on the others. And the satisfaction in relationship comes with deeper connection, not with outer levels of connection. And even though we did have some levels of, soul connection, of course, because of the love that we shared, that was not enough in terms of our path and mission. There was not enough of acceptance of each other to really follow. And the experiences I had after our separation, I feel that I needed to be single to really go through everything that I needed to go, because I traveled a lot, I lived in different countries, I met a lot of people, I got married again, and it was all important for my soul, for finishing some of the soul lessons, for finishing some of the karmic contracts. And so it was needed to do that. It was needed, and it was actually something that we planned from the very beginning, because there were also moments that I didn't want to know. I knew, but I tried to erase them from my mind. But basically, when we were at our marriage ceremony and signing papers, I had a vision. I had a vision that he is not the only man in my life. And it was really difficult to accept it at that moment. I kind of tried to put it away from my mind and say, no, that's just something crazy that came through. And I tried to forget, but my soul was very honest. It showed me from the very beginning that how it is, and that our plan was to end this. And it was a karmic relationship. And later, when investigating, I saw different past lives with him and reasons for us to be together, and the reasons for all the feelings that I had with him. We needed to finish this relationship. And when I finally did a practice to finally karmically cleanse and finish this relationship, I had a beautiful dream where we were celebrating our freedom, because we needed to finish our karma together. That was the reason to meet. So one important message, one important understanding I gained from this experience was that not all marriages are meant to be for life. Like there's this value in our human society, even in religious beliefs of many cultures, that there should be one person for your life. And for many people in today's society, it doesn't happen, and they feel that they're failures because of that. And they are not, they feel that they cannot succeed in relationships because of that. But truth is, it's because we live in a different time, where right now we have opportunity to speed up our growth process and go through different experiences within one lifetime, pretty much live different lives within one lifetime, in order to finish up the karma. Because right now we're in a huge transition period, and in this transition period we really need to clean up as much as we can in our past to move on into the new earth that will be happening soon. Now we see the changes in society. It's all a big transition, and every soul is going through that transition. So what happens is that if we go honestly with our inner selves, we follow the inner truth. And for some people, the inner truth is to stay with one person for all life, and for some people it is not. And if they lie to themselves and try to stay in the same relationship for a long time without honestly wanting to be in it, without feeling that this is true for them, then they're lying to themselves. Then they're not fulfilling their soul plans, to the needed extent, because there are other options for them, yes. And so then they don't feel satisfied, they don't feel happy, they feel like something is misleading. And so honesty is a huge part of spirituality, really. Feeling deep inside what is true for you, what is the right path for you. And sometimes you have to go against the status quo about what is right, what is wrong. And being truthful to yourself always leads you to better ways, better places. And it doesn't always look like it from the outside, but inside you'd know. You all know, we all have seen people who have it all from the outside and are completely unhappy. And on the other hand, there are people whose lives looks like like a wreck, but they're very happy. They are really living how they feel they should be living, you know? And because our lives are really an experience that we live from the inside out, the most important part is how we feel about things, not how what people think about it. But most of the time, people lose their connection to themselves through thinking too much about what others think, without listening to themselves. And this way, they betray themselves and kind of try to be, you know, show their face in the right way and try to build the life they're supposed to live, but lying and lying and lying to themselves over and over. And then what happens is that they lose the connection, because when a soul, when a person listens to the inner wisdom, to their soul, to the inner guidance, if they listen and do what they feel they should be doing, then this connection grows. They become closer and closer. This integration happens, integration of the soul and the personality. And they become one, where the soul shines through the personality and lives through the personality the way it was planned for the soul. And it is all harmonious. Whereas if a person doesn't want to listen to the soul, tries to fulfill the obligations, the expectations of the outside world, and try to wear the face, what happens is that the soul tells them, oh, you should be doing this, you should quit this job, you should finish this relationship, or something else, whatever it is. And the person saying, no, I'm good, I'm fine, I'll just do what is right, and then continues doing it. And over the soul tries to ring the bell, but then over time just steps back and says, okay, you don't want to listen, I'll just watch. I'll just stay nearby and wait until you're ready to listen. And through that, a person lives on the outside a normal life, on the inside not so happy, disconnected, no desire to live most of the time, because that happiness comes from the soul inside of us. But then oftentimes people just accept it, saying that, well, that's normal, it's life. You're not meant to be happy, it's okay. And it's not. It's not okay to not be connected with who you are and not be happy, because it's our nature to be happy, actually. It's our nature. And the Eastern masters say that the nature of our soul is bliss. And they say it from experience. And many people who got to that feeling, to that level of connection, they prove it is so from their experience. And many people do so. And so when you connect with who you really are, you can have that happiness regardless of the outside situations. And when you follow your guidance inside, you can actually create a life that is beautiful on the outside and on the inside. You don't have to choose one or the other. That's what most people think, and why they don't choose spirituality, because they think, oh, well, I have to give up everything that I have, and then maybe I will find happiness. And it doesn't always happen, because, again, it takes time to rediscover yourself. And some people get discouraged and, stop and try to go back. Whereas if you honestly explore, you can even stay where you are, but just turn to your soul and start listening. And then gradually you can change your life to even better version of it. Yes, there will be changes, and changes are always turbulence periods. There are always moments that feel like life temporarily got worse, but it's just a temporary situation, and it gets better after you really follow your inner calling. And so in this way, following your inner guidance, making steps on the outside, you can create the life that's really balanced on the inside and on the outside without the need to choose.
But I think it takes really great courage.
Yes, totally. And I've made those steps of courage several times, and they were the ones that were the most important in my life, because going out of happy marriage because of what I felt took a lot of courage. And it was really difficult because I didn't want to hurt somebody I loved. Another point of courage was when I chose to quit my corporate career that was pretty successful. I mean, I received award that is usually received by top 2% of the company. And I mean, it's a huge corporation that at that time employed 100,000 people worldwide. So I did have a pretty successful career, and I mean, if I continued, I could really reach the top levels. But I chose not to. And when I chose not to, and I quit going nowhere pretty much, just needing to do so, just feeling the calling that I need to create my own project soon, which did happen for 3 months after, well, actually half a year after I quit the job, but 3 months after I came up with the idea. So yeah, it looked really strange to people. Like, what are you doing? You're rated number one. You're rated one, like the ratings 1, 2, and 3. You're rated one. You have great salary. Your apartment is paid 90% by the company. You have a car. You have all these bonuses, uh, trips, business trips to other countries, etc., etc. What are you doing? And I was like, there's nothing they can offer to me anymore. Like, there's nothing that interests me in this anymore. Like, I just cannot sell my time anymore. There's so many more important things for me. And I had this talk with country manager of being offered anything I wanted in terms of position, changing department, going to another country to work. And I was like, there's nothing I want in terms of what you can offer. There are other things that I want at this point. And it took a lot of courage, and people were saying like, you're crazy, nobody does that, you know. But I was happy to do what I felt was right, you know. And I'm not saying it was all easy, because the next year financially was a wreck completely. The next 2 years actually were very difficult financially. For a year I was fine having some savings, and then they were out, and then I became also a single mom. And that was the most difficult part of my life, where it felt like, did I really make the right choice? I didn't regret. I was questioning if I could not quit immediately, but take like a year off, which I was also offered. But really, that was really important, because what happened was that in 1 month that I had zero money coming in, like really zero money coming in, I learned to deeply trust the universe, because through that month, somehow, I was able to live with my baby. And I felt always supported. Like, my friends would come in to visit and just bring food without me even asking them. And I just felt the world was taking care of me, you know? And I knew I was doing something right to really feel that support. And that was like the bottom that I got down to financially and also emotionally at some point. And from that point on, it was continuous growth. Every single year after that, I was growing financially, reaching the levels that I never reached in the corporate world. And I think it wouldn't be possible for me, even at higher levels, to make the money that I make now following my mission. It was just one of the soul lessons that I needed to go through to learn the deep trust, and then start expansion from there, professional expansion in the new profession, of course. And I started doing my own workshops. I started working with clients more, and it expanded year after year after year after year after year, to bringing me to the level of freedom that I have now, to live in different countries of the world, to travel, to make pretty good money. So, and it's all a reflection. It's all a reflection for me that I'm on the right path. I go through my soul lessons, in the right way, and I see the results of the inner work that I'm doing as well in the outer world.
You said you felt a lot of support from your friends, yes, from the world, but did you also felt, let's say, some kind of guidance?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. In every moment that I was in the bottom of my life, and of course there's several of them. It's not just that moment. There were moments when I was emotionally drained, and so in every difficult moment. For example, when I so yeah, the story goes that after divorcing my husband, I was single for some time, and then I met another man that was a really, really strong attraction and spiritual connection with. I mean, it was so strong that the first days we were writing each other in poems. Like literally, it was so much inspiration that we would write each other in poems, and it was really, really strong. And it was so strong that he proposed after 1 week, and I know it's crazy, and for me it was also like that's too much, you know. But still, the level of connection was of such intensity that you could not go around it in any way. Like it was just there. And so we were planning to get married after some time, not immediately, but still. We were building this relationship. We both wanted kids, and so we didn't actually choose to wait long. And so I got pregnant after some months. And meanwhile, the relationship started to change. And so when I got pregnant, it fell apart. It was one of those really strong fire burning relationship that burns out in a few months completely to zero. And when that happened, I felt that I don't know how I got into this, like being pregnant, and there was no choice for me to not keep the baby. Like I didn't even consider that, even though some of my friends talked to me like, no problem, you know, I can do that. I'm like, no, this soul is coming to me. I'm taking the challenge, you know. But it was so difficult because by that time my finances were drained completely. The father of the baby was at that moment also financially unstable. Like he was making good money when we met, and then it fell apart. So I could not get support from him. And then just the fact of being a single mom felt like my life was ruined all of a sudden. And I was crying for 3 months almost every night. I felt like, okay, I don't know how I got into this. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe. So I was questioning. I was making a lot of questions to see where I turned. I took the wrong turn. And what happened, I started again through dreams. I started seeing teachers coming to me. And the brightest memory was Sai Baba was coming to me. He was alive back then at that time. And he would come to me in dreams and teach me and show me, teach me about balance, teach me about different things. And he showed me a vision that I was walking and crying, which I was doing at that time a lot. And my tears were dropping onto the grass and becoming jewels. And so he was sharing that there are so many gifts that are coming from this experience over time. And it's so true now. It's so true now. Every one of those tears is now a gift because of so much growth that happened, of so much expansion that happened, of how much my life changed. And really, my son was the one who activated me into my mission. Now I can say it fully because for a long time I could feel the inner strength of my soul, but I just wouldn't take the step to start sharing my gifts. And when I had to survive, I had to start working because of him coming to my life. I started opening up my gifts and I started sharing them with people. I started seeing results more and more, expanding. And so after all, I was so grateful for everything, like for everything I learned, for everything I went through, for all the difficult moments. They did become gifts after all. But of course, in the moment of crying, in the moment of experiencing the pain of the emotions, you cannot really see that. But I'm so grateful for having that spiritual connection, for feeling that I'm cared for, that there are loving beings around that are not letting me fall completely, that are giving me full support to get up and continue the path. It was very powerful, very strong, and it gave me so much inner confidence in the fact that whatever happens, we have all the support that we need if we just follow that inner guidance. Inner guidance, if we are truthful to who we are, there's always enough support for every difficult moment we go through. And I mean, I've been through a number of them. And yes, it took me courage to make every one of those steps. So, answering to your question, spiritual path is about honesty and is about courage to be yourself as well, because you don't necessarily have to go through the difficult things that I am sharing. Like, that was my path, because through that I expanded the knowledge of my own strength, like what I can do, because going through difficulties, we know how much strength we have inside. We get to know that. So that was my path. Not everybody has to go through those difficulties. But what you have to learn going with the spiritual path is you have to be courageous to be yourself. That's the biggest part, because the outer world always judges whatever you choose, either religious path or the path like mine is, from the inside. There are always moments that you are strange, you're different, you are not accepted. And having the courage to be yourself is a big part of spirituality, for sure.
But when you share a story, it seems like you always felt inside what you really want. But I'm sure that you met a lot of people that come to you to work with you that can say that, I don't know. So let's say I'm unhappy, I suffer, but I don't know what's wrong, and I don't know if I were deep inside myself, I don't know what I really want.
But same with me in those moments, like when I started questioning, is it the life that I want to live with? In the beginning, when I was still married, I was confused. I couldn't understand if I should stay in a relationship or go, if I should quit my career and do what. I was in the same position. I was asking, I was questioning. That's why I started meeting people who helped me to realize. That's why I started opening up the spiritual connection through dreams, because I was searching.
So
I tried to understand. Right? Yes, I tried to understand, because I didn't have all the answers. I felt something was wrong, but I did not have the answers. And I questioned. Same with the moment when I was single mom, pregnant. Well, not mom yet, but getting there. And lost in the feeling of what happened? Why did I get in this situation? And there are many other moments like this that, I can remember. But it's not about feeling that you don't know what's next. It's about continuing to find the answers, because there are always moments when you don't know what to do. And you don't have all the answers. You don't sometimes have the clear picture of what you want. It's natural. Sometimes we get lost because our mind wanders. But when we search, then we find. And when we search inside, when we search for help that we need, it's there. It's up to us to start looking for it, basically.
How did channeling come into your life?
Oh, it's a long story. So when my spiritual path started, of course, I started reading a lot of books, including channeled books. Lee Carroll with his Cryon books, and Conversations with God with Neil Donald Walsh, and many others. I read those books feeling like, wow, this is amazing. It answered so many questions that I had, and expanded my consciousness and helped me be more clear on some of the things that I experienced but didn't have answers to. Some of them my soul memories that were coming to me, and I was amazed at all of this. And there was a moment when I could get to Steve Rother's workshop, and he channeled the group live, and it felt like beautiful angel embrace. Like I was crying of all the emotions that I felt, of all the love I could feel. And it was a bright moment that I really remembered, and I kind of felt like I wanted to be more immersed in those kind of energies in my life. And part of my experience at the workshop was that I helped to translate a little bit one of the participants to be able to talk with Steve, and I realized that I can translate easily. Then later my friend asked me to help her translate an online program. So I started doing a little bit of translation. And next thing, I met one more of my teachers, who is Salray Kelly. And he's a teacher that I work with for years already, helping him be promoted on the international markets. And I helped organize the workshop with him and helped translate him for Russian audience. And I enjoyed it. And then I realized that it's a solution for me, because this is being in the channel with the teacher and learn from the teacher. And so I started working with him as a translator and as an organizer. And I went through hundreds of sessions with people where he channeled live or read the energies, and I learned so much from it. I started feeling the moments when he was going into the channel and going out of it, and soon I started feeling the message before he said it out loud. And so over time, it took me a few years to be in this field, to start having that deeper feeling of understanding how it all works. And then I still wasn't thinking like I could channel. I still was just an organizer translator, learning a lot through that, but not thinking that it's available to me, because I was sure that it's a gift that's giving only to certain people. So I never considered being a channeler at all, until at one moment it happened spontaneously to me. I had a really strong experience of being connected with a field of energy through just, you know how in many religions there are like statues or pictures of beings or of gods, of saints, etc. And what they're really used to is for deeper connection with their energies, to address them, to talk with them, etc., to do the spiritual practice such as praying. And so my experience was, I was just cleaning my house, and I had a little statue of Hotei, who is Chinese god of abundance. And I never was into Chinese gods and goddesses at all. I mean, never. And this was just gifted to me at some point, and I was kind of like, well, okay, it's just there. And as I was cleaning the house, I was relaxed and I got into meditative state, where I was kind of like in alpha brainwaves. And so I was cleaning the statue, and all of a sudden this strong energy came through. It was so bright. It was so strong. I could actually feel all the symbols from the inside without needing to read about them. Like, why does he have this big open belly? It's because he feels so, through this energy, I felt so open and full of life, that this belly was just showing that, like completely open, completely full. And so every symbol, like this happy face, I could feel from the inside everything. And I was like, wow. I was shocked and amazed that this is how you feel it. This is how you can actually come into the contact with the energy of certain being. And again, I never wanted it. I never asked for it. I never wanted to know this energy in terms of like Chinese god, what? Like, never. It just happened. And then I realized that all gods that people pray to are actual energies that bring them certain states of mind, certain feelings that help them reach their goals in this or that, or to feel inside something that they want to feel, like peace and love or abundance or whatever it is. And from that moment on, I started experimenting. Can I do it by my choice? Can I feel some field of energy if I try to connect with it? And so that's how I started channeling, experimenting for myself. Then I got guided to start a group process and channel for a group. And I was amazed at what happened as a result. Like, people got really strong experiences being in the channel with me. They started having expanded consciousness.
So it's not only about information, it's also about energy.
In the first place, it's actually energy. Information is part of it, but as we talked before, that energy fields contain information. So you can experience it as an energy in the first place and then translate it into words. But it's always both. So for example, when we connect with like Mother Mary energy, it's always love. And we first feel it as a state of being, and then we can receive the message, you know? So I started working with groups, and I was amazed at the results that were happening. Like, people were really having strong spiritual experiences, awakening experiences. They were receiving answers to their questions. They could go into much deeper meditative states than they could before, and expanding their gifts, like being able to become more clairvoyant, or, you know, other things. And I was surprised. I was deeply surprised of how it worked. And of course, there were messages coming through as well. And so that's how I started working with groups, with channels. Of course, then I started working with in private sessions. And surprisingly, after, I realized that when I did periods of working with higher beings, with our teachers, with spiritual masters, working with high frequencies, basically receiving a lot of high frequencies, in those moments, my life was able to improve dramatically. Like, it shifted into new potentials and changed a lot. For example, when I did that first series of channels, my life at that time was stable, but there were moments when I was doubting my path. I was not making good money at all. Like, I was still in that beginner phase where I was serving the community, but it was so small that I could barely make my life work, but it was not about abundance yet. Like, I could support myself and my child, but it was not about really the easy flow kind of feeling, you know. It really kept me, like, I was at times stressed about if I'm making it or not, you know. So, and I wanted to grow, I wanted to expand, and I didn't know how to make it work. And because of that, I started losing confidence and was questioning, am I really doing the right thing? You know, like, is this really my path? So I was searching for answers. When I started following the guidance and doing the channelings and receiving high frequencies, I allowed myself to tune in and to go again with the courage to really follow the inner resonance. And my inner guidance told me, and my teachers told me, that I needed to go and live in Bali. And at that time I was like, Bali? What in the world? I'm happy where I am in general. Like, my life is stable. My kid is going to preschool. I have everything settled, you know, like, I'm happy in like, yes, I'm not growing financially or professionally. I feel like I'm a bit stuck, but in general, my life is okay. And I felt like I'm not ready to really change anything. I don't think I can support myself going into Bali with a child, and so much risk. And I was resisting. And after, so that was before this set of channelings. I knew I was meant to go, but I was not going, and I was resisting, and I was pushing it away. And then I started going into consequences where I started losing money, and things started even worse. But after doing this set of going to channels, going to channelings, feeling the support of teachers, of those beautiful souls who love us and who support us no matter what, I started feeling the energy and the courage to make the steps I knew I needed to. I had to let go of my resistance and go with the trust that everything will work out. And so I did go to Bali. At first, I came to investigate for a month to really see if I can do it with my son, if it's safe and comfortable and other things, because of course I'm responsible for the child. And after 1 month, I realized, yes, I need to come back. And so I did. I finished things back at home, took my son, came to Bali. And what happened is that within 1 year, my finances grew 10 times. And I got to financially to the point where I never thought I could be. And it was amazing. And this is just the financial part, because it's really easy to explain and to talk about. But it actually influenced every area of my life. I grew in every area of my life to the new level. I started feeling better.
Is it just about the place? Yeah, that the energy changed the energy.
In a way, because it's a power place on the planet, definitely, but not really, because I had beautiful, amazing experiences in other places back at home or in other countries, because I traveled as well. My path was through Bali. Like, my soul plan was to meet here certain people, go through certain processes. It's not that Bali is the key for everyone. It's not. Everybody has their own path. But for me, it was the next step. And as much as I resisted it, I needed to make that step. And when I followed the inner guidance, I received, again, so many gifts for going, from taking the courage. And my life expanded to a new level completely, spiritually, financially, relationship-wise, in so many ways. Like, really, I think all of my life completely changed within the first year, and then continued to expand. And I know that Bali is just a part, it's a step, and maybe some other time it won't be Bali. Like, for now it is still, but after some time the location may change, because it's not about the location. It's about following your guidance. And with that, there are certain soul contracts that happen in this spot or another spot. Same way, when I was finishing my degree in the United States, I finished college in the US, and then I could stay in the US. And most people, all of my friends who were international students, they stayed in the US. They continued on. Somebody went for master's degree, somebody went to work. They all spoke fluent English. They had American degree, so they could really continue on with their life and be successful. But I felt guided to go back home, and many people were like, why are you doing it? You could stay in the US, and it's a more successful economic country and things like that. But I felt absolutely sure that I need to go back home. And of course, there were soul contracts, there were things I needed to be part of back there. And so again, it was trust. It was a step of trust and knowing that this is right for me. So it's not about finding the best place for you and sticking there. It's about following step by step what is right for you. And sometimes it is to stay, sometimes it is to move. And not be attached is also a big part, because when I was attached to the location where I was and not wanted to go to Bali, I received my lessons about not being attached. And then now, as much as I love Bali, I know that there will be a time where I will have to leave and go to some other place. And so place is just same as people, relationship, profession, places. It's all different parts of experiences, soul lessons, soul contracts that we need to go through. And of course, yes, Bali is a beautiful, beautiful place, very powerful, very strong place that draws in amazing people. So I'm very happy and I feel very fortunate to be here. But at the same time, I'm very open to be anywhere else.
Now what happened the most popular probably question for the channeler. Who do you connect with? And because you already told about some gods, but as far as I know, can be also some different civilizations and so on.
Yeah, most of the times we see that channelers channel some specific channel, like a certain group of beings or certain being, such as like Cryon for Lee Carroll. Yeah, just one generally. For me, it so happened that I don't have one specific channel that I work with. I connect with different energies, and for me, it's a very interesting experience to explore different energies, to do it together with groups of people. And it's amazing because I like to investigate things. I'm a researcher in a way. I like to get to know different energies, get to know different messages, because they are like personalities. They're also souls as we are, except for they don't have bodies. They are greater souls in terms of they have more experience, they are wider, they're more expanded than we are. I mean, our guides and teachers and spiritual masters. And that's why they can be in those roles, because that's who they are. They are the ones who have a higher perspective on what we're going through. So that's why they can be our guides. But for me, it was very interesting to get to know different teachers, different masters, different spiritual beings that help the humanity. And through that, I got to know at a much deeper level different explanations about who this or that being is or why. So, I got answers to some questions about why they're depicted in such a way, what they really are about, without the need of reading books that explain it all. So it was an investigation, it was a research, and a very interesting discovery for me. And so this is how I continue. Yes, there are guides that are more closely connected with me, who, when I need messages for myself, more personal guides, who I'm more connected with as my personal teachers. And those are the ones that I channel for me when I need to have some guidance. But when I work with people, I find that if you want to get to know more about unconditional love as like mother side energies, then it is better to connect to the beings who are transmitting those energies. But if, for example, you need to know how to transform a situation, how to make a change in a situation, it is better to connect with beings who are more about transformation, who are more about change, about changing things that don't work anymore. So depending on the request, depending on what is needed, we can connect with the energy that are specifically about this. In the same way as, for example, in Christianity, people pray to different saints depending on their need. So in the same way, it's a sort of like communication, it's a sort of prayer, just in a stronger energetic connection kind of thing. And so when we need to solve certain questions, it is better to connect with the being that is really about that. And of course, all of these are different beings that help humanity. And of course, the source is above all. And of course, we always can connect with the source. But we also have a lot of friends, spiritual friends, who can help us on our path with the situation that we face. And so that was my experience of connecting with different beings. And there is so much love, always, always, so much support, so much respect for every human situation. They never look down on humans. They never think that they're not smart enough or not evolved enough. They're always absolutely unconditionally loved and supported, and it's an amazing feeling to be in that field each time when I go into this connection. It's a huge honor to have an opportunity to connect like that.
So is it like that when you work with someone, you use channeling not only for, let's say, Google information for the person, but also for some healing processes, energetical experience that should be shared with the person?
Absolutely, both with groups and individuals, connecting with higher frequencies is always healing, because it's a resonance that brings everything to more harmonious way of being. So usually every channeling starts with energetic cleansing, because in order for us to receive the energy fully, we need first to drop some of the heavier energies that we don't need at this point, some of the thoughts that we don't need at this point. So usually channeling starts with cleansing, energy cleansing, and it's a natural process, not that I make it specifically, but it's a process of going into contact with a higher frequency, and first thing it does, it cleanses our field. And then it comes into conversation when we are open and we are receptive, when we can feel it. And then oftentimes also we receive energetic gifts, like it may be in the form of answering our questions, or it may be in the form of opening the gifts, expanding our extra sensory abilities, or it may be in the form of shifting the way body is. Oftentimes people, after practicing channeled meditations for some time, they feel that their body is changing, like their desires of what they want to eat changes, becoming more lighter, or they start feeling more balanced in emotional states. So basically at many different levels there's this work that happens. It's not just information that comes through, but it's multidimensional work that happens through being in the higher frequency field, and it heals us in many ways, raises vibrations of the body and subtle bodies in many ways, and brings us to a new level of being ourselves. So it has been amazing. And like I said, channeled meditations for me were a way to really change my reality. And not just that point of moving to Bali, there were other ones. And I've seen it also happen for people where through going to these higher frequencies, they opened up new opportunities in their lives. They were able to receive answers to questions they were looking for years, etc., etc. So, and it's very wide spectrum of what can happen. More clarity, more peace, more balance, more wholeness, more health, etc.
And did it happen, for example, the story about your moving to Bali? You said that you got the information, but you didn't know, had maybe some fears about this, but did you experience something like, for example, you get some information from your guides, but your inner answer from your soul, you feel different?
It's usually not from the soul, it's from the ego. From the soul, I've never experienced any disconnect with what the guide said and the soul said. Usually it's the ego that resists. It's our personality that resists. And we still have both. I mean, we still have the soul and personality, even though it's more integrated. Personality can still act up and say, no, I don't want to do it. And that's what I experienced at that point. So, and in my path, I've seen it many times. Whenever I listen to my ego, this is when things go wrong. And whenever I listen to my soul, this is when things work out, even when it looks like it's impossible, So it teaches you through situations over time that it's really wonderful to listen to your soul guidance. And if sometimes even you have to go through difficult times, you're never left alone, like we discussed already. Sometimes you need to go through some situations to grow, to become stronger, to learn. And those are all activations that are needed for your future. And they're important and valuable. But if you go constantly in resistance, like, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go through difficulties, I don't want to go through all of this, you just shut it all down, and then you don't grow, and then you just live in the every day is same as every other one. And that's not how I want to live.
I know that not so far you traveled around the world and visited some places of power. And did you have any interesting experience of connection with ancient civilization or something like this?
Many times, many times. Yes, it's one of more of my passions and projects. I've been involved in the traveling since childhood, pretty much. And like I said, I had an international student experience. I lived in the US, I lived in Europe, I lived in Bali, I lived in Russia, I lived in different places. But besides that, I always loved to travel. And I took every opportunity I could to do so. But once my travels became more conscious, I started visiting so-called power spots. It's where the spots where there's very strong energy that help expand consciousness, that helps remember past lives or whatever needs to be activated gets activated there. And one of those places for me is definitely Egypt. It's a country I've been to already 13 times, and every time, every single time, it's been expansive. Like, it expanded me even more and more. And it was really strongest spiritual experiences came through this land many times. Like, I shared that my first memories of past lives came in dreams, but it happened not by my choice. It's just a dream that came to me. But first time consciously going into past lives happened in Egypt during meditation. And many other things happened when I requested information about my mission. This was when I first received it there, and many other things. But besides that, I've been to other strong places like Stonehenge and Peru and India and Nepal and many places. I've been to 45 countries already so far, and about 20 of them I was with groups visiting power spots. Others I was by myself or with my family to do my own investigations. And it's a huge part of my life because every single power spot brings some more memories, some more insights, some more connections. It's like integrating parts and pieces of yourself, and it's also wonderful to watch how it opens up people. That's why I love bringing groups to different power spots, because it's amazing to see a person who starts opening up the gifts, spiritual gifts, or for example, there were people who started like writing songs and poems during those trips, or who started speaking in languages, spiritual languages during those trips, or who opened up clairvoyance or remembered their past lives for the first time, etc., etc. So many different things that happen. And not only that, it's the energetic feelings that people get at different power spots of being connected to home, like remembering places where you were before, or even spiritual homes, because some of the energy spots, they are connected with other worlds, and sometimes even people who are not really into spirituality coming to certain places, they felt like, wow, this is feeling like home. You know, even they can feel it because the energy may be so strong that it just opens up.
Does it mean that they are connected with that civilization who made this?
Yeah. There are portals in many places of power. There are portals that are connected with other civilizations, and we go in meditation. We feel it. We find information together. Of course, all of my travels also brought me to exploring alternative history, because a lot of the official history doesn't match the reality, especially what comes to ancient history. And that's also one of my hobbies, is alternative history, because from childhood at history lessons or at geography lessons, I could feel that what they say is not exactly the truth. And then there are many investigations these days that people make to really scientifically find out if this is true or not, what the official science says. And there are people who actually sacrifice their archaeological careers or historical careers to start speaking the truth about what really is going on. That doesn't really match what is being said in the official history books in schools. So it's very interesting also because the ancient civilizations were much more evolved than we think, a lot more evolved than we think. And many of the constructions that we know are actually dated much older than we date them.
So who built the pyramids?
It was before the Egyptian civilization, for sure. Before the Egyptian civilization, Egyptians used them. They were already there and they had already strong energies. And Egyptians felt those energies and used them for their reasons. So in most places of power, there are actual layers that can be discovered. And most pyramids were used by later civilizations, same as Mayans, for example.
So they also brought their energy. So next
yes, it's a mixture. Mayans actually say it out loud that they did not build the pyramids, that when they came, they were there already. Egyptians don't say it, but it's pretty obvious when you investigate. So those civilizations, they were connected with the extraterrestrial presence. There's one of the theories that humanity came to existence through extraterrestrial presence, and it actually explains of why the apes suddenly became humans, because there's this question of why the mutation happened. Well, it happened because there were genetic involvements here of a much evolved beings, and there was actually a group of civilizations, different civilizations, input their information in humans, so we're genetically connected with the different races of the universe. There are many people who talk about it. Salvador Kelly is one of them, and you can investigate this more if that sounds too crazy for you. But basically, souls, when they come to those places, suddenly they remember things, how it really happened, because they were also the ones who came here before. So basically, we are the ones who built it long time ago. I mean, not specific this human being, but the soul as a group of souls. Oftentimes we are brought back to same places to remember. And so as for the pyramids, for example, many of those constructions as well, they were built with very advanced technologies that were interwoven with consciousness. So consciousness, why they're in a way religious, they're not religious. They use consciousness of humans together with technologies. Right now we have it separately, but they actually knew that it's all connected. And our quantum physics now says that our consciousness influences the result of the experiment, but we're just now starting to understand. But they actually used it, and the consciousness, the strength of the consciousness was so important. That's why they put a lot of attention into expanding consciousness, all the mystery schools, etc. In order for these technologies to work, the level of consciousness had to be at a certain level. And so it was interconnected. And the way the pyramids were built was actually sound levitation. Even now you can find videos on YouTube, sound levitation, where certain frequency, certain sound vibration can levitate pieces of matter. And they knew it really well. They could bring together such strong vibrational fields that could levitate actual huge stones and bring them up to mountains or anything. And that's something that we still cannot do. And so those civilizations were much more evolved. And the energies that were left in these constructions were so strong that they continued to serve people in their expansion of consciousness for thousands of years. And that's why they were used by later civilizations over and over again. And we confuse that they built them where it's not true.
So is it like that you felt connection in Egypt means that your soul was also involved in building this?
Yeah, yeah. My soul, and I met other souls who were there, different periods, and who were participating in this scenario. Their task was to bring knowledge to people. Their task was to bring, and again, many civilizations talk about this, that there were gods who came and brought them arts and sciences and knowledge about how to take care of the land and how to make food and things like that. And that's all true. It's literally true, because there were more evolved beings who came here to help the evolving humanity to really evolve through knowledge that they had, which humanity didn't have. And they were called gods because that's how they were perceived, whereas they're not really gods. They're just beings of other civilizations that are more involved. And that's how a lot of civilizations developed, including Egyptian civilization.
Mm-hmm. And does it, these people, for example, from one civilization or from one group of souls, do they have like, can have same mission or same features of character or same talents? Or it doesn't matter now?
Well, definitely same as, for example, in current on our planet, there are different nations, different people, and they might share certain ways, certain traits, but be uniquely different. Each person is still uniquely different, but we can definitely distinguish one nation from the other, not only by looks, but some of their behaviors, some of their ways. And in the same way about cosmic civilizations, when you can read energies, and I can also see in the field where some of the brighter energies of what the connection of the soul is in terms of cosmic civilizations. So certain civilizations have certain traits or certain tendencies because they're more involved in certain activities, and some, for example, are more scientific, others are more about unconditional love and service, etc. So they have their uniting features, and of course every soul has their unique features, so it's a mixture, of course.
I know you mentioned before that your husband is a newcomer and from a really high frequency civilization, so does it influence the way he communicates and the way you understand each other?
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, not only did the souls come from other civilizations long time ago, but it still happens. Like even at this time, many souls that they're called starseeds that come here to serve during this transition period of the Earth to bring higher frequencies, but they have their own challenges of being immersed into the heavier earthly vibrations. And of course, yes, it brings, everybody has their own challenges. And these souls, they have a lot of questions of why things are like this on Earth, why we still have wars, why we need so many manipulation of how our governments operate, etc., etc. So in terms of like a relationship level, it's really great that I understand him at a deeper level. So that it gives me a lot more acceptance than if I wouldn't understand it. I would be questioning why is he reacting like this to things. But now knowing where he's at, that it's his like first incarnation, that he's in a way like empty page in terms of earthly reality. He really looks at many things on Earth with questions like, what is going on here? Wondering about things. But at the same time, he transmits beautiful, peaceful, joyful energy that really lifts up people who are around him. And so there are challenges and there are wonderful things. And so for me, I've been on Earth long time, from the beginning of its existence pretty much, and I was involved in every civilization. So we kind of exchange in a way that at soul level contract, I help him integrate on Earth because I know all about what's going on here. And he helps me to be resonating with higher frequencies on a regular basis. So it gives us balance. And so it's a beautiful challenge. And of course, every relationship works uniquely. Like every soul frequency resonates in a certain specific way. So every person in my life brings something valuable, something beautiful, and of course I try to do the same. And so in this way, because of me understanding his nature, it's much easier to look at some of his reactions and not make it a problem, not make it difficult for anyone. Just understand that, yes, that's because he's new. And so we can talk about it. And for him, when we talked about this, when I shared with him this understanding, it was a relief, a big relief, because he understood why it's like this for him. And it also brings respect and admiration for the differences. It also brings acceptance that it's okay to be different. We don't have to be the same. Like there are certain things that are important to be the same at, like for example, values. In human relationships, values is number one, that they need to match to really walk together, otherwise there's always conflict. So that's definitely the key thing. We pretty much absolutely match in values at like 95%. And that's the basis for a relationship. So the different things that are not the same doesn't really matter. And every relationship has points of growth and points of balance or points of support. So we have enough in common to move on together. And things that are not the same in terms of experience, for example, they don't bother us too much, because we can accept each other's differences and be okay with it, not make it a problem or anything.
That sounds great. That you're really conscious enough both to understand, to feel this, and just not to feel it like a challenge, but an opportunity. It's great.
Yeah.
And I think the last question. So what inspires you most of all in working with people?
Changes that happen. I really feel blessed to be in the work that makes me feel like I don't really work. I mean, I can really, in terms of schedule, work for hours a day, but still feel so much energy, because I'm doing what I love. I'm into my mission, and my mission, I state it this way, that I want to live in a world filled with happy people who are connected with their true self. And every time I see a change, every time I see when a person is going through being confused in life to being bright, clear, and inspired, it lifts me up. So that's definitely inspiration. That's what makes me motivated to move on and to serve and to spend time with private sessions and with online courses and teach and help people get to that point of knowing that they are more a soul than a limited human being. And I receive gratitude every day from people for my work, and it keeps me, even when I get tired, even when I feel like I'm working too much in terms of time, it supports me every time to give more. It really inspires me to move on and expand my work further.
Thanks for that. And thanks for the conversation, because I'm 100% sure that for someone it will be really a great inspiration to just to take this courage and to find their own way, their own path, their own soul way, soul path. And so I'm really happy to share with you this experience, and thank you very much, and let's hope that soon we'll see again.
Sure, I will be happy to. Thank you.